The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. My name is Tanya, and I'm the Marketing Manager over here at Struxoft Solutions, part of the Great Tech Group. So just for those of you who are new with us today, our STAR solution MWF, which stands for Metal Wood Framer, is our Revit-based BIM framing solution that allows users to automate Revit walls, floors, ceilings, and trusses in light-gauge steel and also in wood. Today, however, our technician and partner will be walking you through how to link in consultant Revit files and also how to use Copy Monitor. So this includes linking in Revit models, review Copy Monitor options, Copy Monitor the walls, and then also quick create the copied walls. So just before we get going, I'd like to remind everyone that at the end of the webinar, if we have time, we'll be taking a couple of live questions. In order to be selected, please press the raise hand button on the dashboard. Just please also make sure that your mic is working correctly. If you'd prefer, you can ask questions throughout the webinar by typing into the questions tab of the GoToWebinar dashboard as well. All right, that's it for me. I'm going to hand off to Aparna now.
Hi everyone, my name is Aparna Bhatia and I'm the Senior Implementation Specialist at Struxoft. So today we're, like Tanya mentioned, we're going to cover how to link in Revit, consultants' Revit files and use Copy Monitor on them to grab the walls from those models or create your walls in the same location as those existing walls. So you don't have to draw and sketch them all over the place, right? So let's get started. Typically, we recommend, like if you do go through and get implementation hours from us, we create a template or a Revit template for you that has all of your files within it. So it will, oh, sorry, not all of your files, like all of your families in it. It will have all of your templates, your markers, your shop drawing settings, everything we create for you. It will have all of those in there, right? So I'll show you what we typically give a client, right? So when you're starting a new project, so let's say when you go File, New, and we want to create a new project, over here you can select the default Revit template files. But if you go through with us and get implementation hours from us, we'll give you a Revit template file, which has all of your MWF settings added to it, okay? So I'll just show you the way I would typically start a file. So here you would have, here we have, I have the webinar folder and I have saved our RTE files, which is a Revit template file. So whenever you see that RTE extension, that's a Revit template extension. So that is a template file that we can load in, or sorry, use to create our base for our new project. All right, so over here, I'm going to use the SSS Residential Imperial RTE template. That file has all my families that I need to use for MWF. And I also have all the hardware maybe I might need, the marker lines, the horizontals, the templates created, all of them are already located and created in that file. And they're available for me to use for any new project from now on because I saved it as an RTE, okay? So currently, as you can see, it says project 1. I already created a new project using that specific file. So I'm just gonna hit cancel, but typically you would hit open and you would use that as your template file to create your new project, okay? So let's get started over there. So now that we have our new project, you'll notice since I started this project from that template, if I go to MWF and I go to our wall module, I'm just going to click on settings over here, multi-layer settings. Give it a quick second. And in here, you'll notice that I have a few walls already created. So I have a 5-inch wood stud wall, I have a 4-inch wood stud wall, an 8-inch, and I also have a 6-inch floating around somewhere in this list. But they all have their templates already assigned because I've already set up this template file to be ready to go. So once I draw any of these walls, I just have to hit the quick create button and the templates that are assigned to them will get created for those specific walls, okay? So that I just wanted to show you that when we do create a template, this is something that you have available to you. I also have a few markers in here and all of those wonderful things. So if you've set up rule sets for your openings, you will have those available in this file as well. If you have any of your shop drawing settings, your title blocks, your dimension styles, your, you name it, like your text styles, your line styles, everything you need, your view templates will also be in this file since you've already preset it up. And yeah, so let's get started with how do I, now that I have my template ready to go and I've created a brand new project, how do I get started and how do I link in the architect's models? All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the Insert tab, and in the Insert tab, there are a lot of options for linking files. So we're gonna go with the link Revit file, but there's an option to link CAD file. If you're only receiving CAD files from your consultants, then you can totally link that in and just use the interior face of the stud to draw your walls or whatever you prefer, basically. But since this is a webinar about CopyMunder, we kind of have to bring in our Revit files. So we'll click on Link Revit here. I'm going to go back to my desktop and go find myself my architectural model that I want to link in. So I'm just going to go ahead and link in the residential Atlas apartments here. And you'll notice that it brought in the model and it has all the walls, the windows, the furniture, everything you see under the sun or that's inside that model in there. I also forgot to mention one more thing. So I'm going to actually undo linking the project, but I'll just explain the settings within this dialog box. So in here, you'll notice that we have something called positioning. So this basically asks you, how do you want to locate the central model, or sorry, the consultant's model in terms of your model. So if my internal origin is, the internal origin, if you're familiar with AutoCAD, that is your Cartesian planes, 0, 0, 0. So that is where your project's 0, 0 is located, okay? So if you ever do internal origin to internal origin, it will basically place, every project has their own internal origin, but it'll find the 0, 0 for my file, and it'll find the 0, 0 for the linked file or the linked model, and it will align them together, okay? So that's how it's gonna adjust them. Then you have the auto center to center. This is not very commonly used. Sometimes a lot of people might use it for linking in like little units or apartments, just because it will fall right in the middle of your project and then you can move it around wherever you need to go. So that's typically like if you're doing units in your project, or if you have multiple linked files that are going to be dropped in and you have to move them around and locate them yourself, center to center is a decent option for that. And then there's also another option called by shared coordinates. So if your consultants are using shared coordinates and they tell you to link in the model using shared coordinates, you can use this option. Shared coordinates is basically, an example would be the architect decided to locate the building in Boston so that they could get the appropriate sun study for it, as an example, right? So if they are using shared coordinates to locate their building, you can actually use their shared coordinates and locate your building the same way, or your model the same way, right? At the end of the day, what we want to do is if I link in their model, it should not be any different than them linking in our model. So basically, when I link in their model, I would probably do it internal origin to internal origin, unless they're using shared coordinates, okay? So the reason I would do internal origin to internal origin is I haven't started drawing anything. They have already finished a whole project, right? They've already started drawing all the walls, started locating a lot of things. So I would rather I place my studs where they have their walls located, right? So I'm going to do internal origin to internal origin. And I'll end my spiel for this dialog box there. So I'll just go ahead and open that. So in a quick second, it just, boom, places the model in here. They have a random wall placed out there in Never Never Land, but that's totally fine. No biggie. Okay, so now that we have the model in here, we want to use Copy Monitor so that we can grab all of their wall types and their walls in their exact locations and replace them with our walls. Okay, so one option would be I would go Copy Monitor, click on the wall, and copy their original wall. I don't really like that option very much because my templates are not set up for their original walls. My templates are set up for my 5-inch, 4-inch, and 6-inch walls, right? So what we could do is we can create something called a wall schedule. So you can just right click, click new schedule, and create a wall schedule from here if you'd like. Or in my case, I already have a wall schedule created, so I'll just double click that one. Over here, it shows me all the walls that are including the linked elements. It's showing me all the walls that exist in the project, okay? So what I can do is I can actually uncheck include linked elements, and you'll see that there's nothing drawn in my project. So there's no walls currently drawn in my project because I used the template file. But the minute I turn on include linked elements, it tells me all of this information about the linked model, okay? So it's telling me that we have a few masonry walls. We have a brick on wood stud 2. We have maybe a 6-inch wall. We have another 6-inch, and we have a chase wall. So this tells you the thickness of the wall. It doesn't really tell you the thickness of your stud, right? So at least now you know we have a few different types of walls. So we need to kind of investigate what these might contain, right? So let's go back to the level 1 here. I'm going to just tab and select the wall here, and I'm going to hit edit type just so that I can see what's the thickness of the structural layer. So here you can see it's 7.5. Sometimes it's really random numbers like 711 over 136 or 124 or something like that. So sometimes it's super random numbers. So I like to just double check and see if I can make it easier for myself. So that we have a 7.5 inch thick structural layer. So that's an 8-inch stud. And then we need a wall that is, so like something like this, 131 over 256. Like I need a 5.5-inch wall. I don't really care about 131 over 256. Like that means nothing to me, right? So while I'm trying to frame with MWF, I want to make sure my walls have the correct dimensions for the structural layer. So this is a 6-inch wall, I would say, because I'm presuming it says OA6, so it should be a 6-inch wall. And then I can just click on any other one here. This one's the tiled one. This one is also 131 over 256, 6-inch wall again. And then the last one I think we would need is the chase wall, which I'm presuming would be in this vicinity. So if I click here, yeah, it says wood chase. So we'll edit type, and we can edit it over here. And you'll notice that this beautiful wall is built very, very wrong. Like MWF will definitely not frame this because we have more than one structural layer in this wall, right? So what we can actually do here is try to see what's the total thickness of just the structure plus the air layer maybe. So that would be 5.5 plus 5.5, so 11 plus 1, so 12 inches. So that's a 1 foot thick structural core layer compared to how many other layers they have in here, right? Like the plywood should not be in here. It should not be set to finish. It should be set to substrate, and so on and so forth. I can go on for days about this. So this is the main reason we'll use Copy Monitor, right? So what we're going to do is, I don't think I have a chase wall that will kind of meet that requirement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually draw a wall straight through here. and just make sure I create a chase wall that is, or I have a wall that is that size. So I'm probably going to just take the 8-inch wood stud, edit type, duplicate it, and I'll create a 12-inch wood stud wall. All of these walls are only the structural layer. So I'm going to call this 12 inches, and that should be good. Okay, so all of these walls only have the structural layer because I'm currently only working with the structural layer. If I wanted to add plywood sheathing on both sides, I totally can do that. Typically, the sheathing's on the exterior in most walls, so you could definitely add sheathing to your walls. But when you're doing copy monitor, I'll show you which setting to use if you're using, if you are adding sheathing to your walls. Okay. So now that we have a 12-inch wood stud wall, which we can use to replace the chase, I think we have all of our walls. We need an 8-inch, we need a 6-inch, and we needed a 12-inch wall. We don't really need to use a 4-inch this time. Okay, and all these concrete blocking walls, we probably might need to add furring to this eventually, but right now the architect hasn't drawn any furring, so we're gonna ignore them. Okay, we're mainly gonna focus on just this little apartment here, so that we can save everyone's time. But yeah, let's get started. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the Collaborate tab now that we have the architectural link in here. But before we go ahead and do copy monitoring, we are going to go to our visibility graphics. You can either click visibility graphics or go VV. So once you go VV, you can go to Revit links. Now you can see the Revit link that we added on. I'm going to make this an underlay, and I'm going to make this halftone. Okay, just because I don't want to confuse my actual walls with the architect's walls. Okay, so there you go. Now it's a nice little grayed out plan. I can actually tab select, and you'll still see I can select the linked walls. So there's no change in that. But yeah, that's it. So now let's go into Copy Monitor. So Copy Monitor basically is an awesome tool where you get to either A, copy whatever the linked file has. When I say whatever, I'll show you the few categories you can actually copy. So you can copy the walls, the windows, the doors, the openings from the linked wall, from the linked model. And basically it will monitor any changes that happen to that linked model, right? So like if the architect decides, you know what, this wall is supposed to be straight now instead of angled, you will get a notification saying, hey, hello, go take a look at that wall, something happened. Okay, so that's when the coordination review comes in. Okay, so right now we're just going to go through Copy Monitor. We're going to click on Select Link because we want to use a link to do copy monitoring. Now we're going to go through a few options for copy monitoring. Okay, so with copy monitoring, these are the few categories you can actually copy monitor: levels, grids, columns, walls, and floors. Okay, right now we're not going to do any floors. We don't have any levels and grids. Typically, the architects set the level. The structural engineers set the locations of the grids. So that way, that's why it's helpful that levels and grids are, you can copy monitor both of them, because if the architect ever moves a level, the structural engineer really, really badly needs to know about it. So if they are copy monitoring the architect's levels, they will know that the level moved by ½ an inch or an inch or a foot, as an example. That would be a worst case scenario, I would say. But it's really helpful for that. And then for the architect, if they're dimensioning all their walls to the grids and they have a specific area they need to maintain for the inside of their plans, they probably don't want the grids moving that much. So if the engineer decided, you know what, I need a little less space in between these two grids, I'm going to just squeeze them from, instead of being 10 feet apart, I want them to be 8 feet apart. They have to let the architect know, because now if their walls were locked to their grids, now their building got smaller and they're not meeting their area requirements, right? So that's the benefit of being able to copy monitor these. If anything changes, you'll get a little reminder or a notification stating that something changed. Same thing with columns. Architects might want to copy monitor all the structural load-bearing columns and maybe replace them with their own specific architectural finished columns. So maybe say like they were going to copy this W shapes column, and they have a column in their family library that actually is that same W shaped size, but it's covered with drywall, and that's part of their family. So they might want to copy monitor the structural engineer's family so that they know if anything changes, they need to change their family, and it adjusts their space requirements accordingly, right? So that's an example for why they might need to copy monitor columns. And now we come to the biggest part of this webinar, the copy monitoring of walls, all right? So over here, where it says original type, the original type is basically what is available, or what are all the walls available in the consultant's files, okay? So right now, these are all the different wall types that are available in the consultant's files. We saw that they're only using like 4 different wall types that I think are generic masonry, wood, and wood. So technically, we can just focus on these 4, but I'll just show you what I would do for the walls that we might not need to worry about. So let's say they have used any of these walls, right? If I don't want to worry about them, I don't want to, if I click on that wall, I don't want to copy it, then I can just select don't copy this type of wall. That's literally it. So I can click on the first one, shift select the last one that I want to not have them copy, and then just click on the drop down and say don't copy this type. Okay. Sometimes if you don't have that specific wall type in your project, it'll ask you, hey, do you want to copy the original type? You have the option to yes, copy it if you want to. But again, if I was to copy that chase wall, you know it's not going to work with MWF because it has multiple layers inside its core boundary, right? So we probably don't want to copy the original type for that guy. But for these guys, we will actually add in our own walls. So we know that these two over here are actually 6-inch stud walls. So let's go ahead and add in, replace them with our 6-inch wood stud wall, okay? So when I say replace them is whenever I click, what I mean is whenever I click an interior OA6 wood wall on the plan here somewhere, it will, instead of copying that exact type, it will replace it with my own type of wall that I selected here, right? So it's going to replace it and create a 6-inch wood stud wall. So the benefit of this is when I click that 6-inch wood stud wall and then go quick create, it already has a template set up. So I don't have to do any extra work of setting up my templates and all of that fun stuff, right? So that's what I'm going to do for these 2 walls here. And then over here, we have the wood chase wall. So we created the 12-inch wood stud wall for that guy. And then all of these guys, we are going to basically say, do not copy this type because it's probably not being used. So I think we need to probably add these 2 types and have them be the 8-inch studs. I think those are the 8-inch stud walls. So yeah, now that we've assigned all of our walls and we've said this wall equals this wall, this wall equals this wall, either to copy them, don't copy them, or replace them with our own wall. Once we have done all of this exercise, we have options to align the wall a specific way when we click it, right? When we click the linked wall, where do you want our new wall to be placed? So I typically like to recommend doing the core center line, especially if you only have drawn the structural layer of your wall, right? So core center line basically means that's the center line of their core, which would be basically where you would actually place your studs, right? If you do have sheathing attached to the exterior edge of your walls, I would highly recommend using core face interior, or if you have sheathing on the interior side of the walls, then use core face exterior. But just keep in mind that this setting is for all walls, not just 1 or 2 walls. So if you want to just copy one specific type of wall, You can copy that first and then change the setting back in these options, and then go ahead and copy the rest of the walls. Okay, so you have that option. For right now, I'm just going to do core centerline. And then we also have the option to copy the windows, doors, and openings. I typically don't like it the way that it copies in the doors, windows, and openings, just because it brings it in as actual like Revit rectangular wall openings. So basically, if you're trying to frame it with your template and you're just framing it using the openings tab, it's just treating it like a regular opening instead of it being a window or a door. So it might add a sill for a door opening, or it might add, it just won't frame it the right way, just based on how your templates and rule filters are set up, right? So you can technically copy them. I like to copy them in just so that I know that there's an opening that I need to deal with in that area, okay? So I might need to replace that existing opening with one of my own, or I might need to create new opening types just so I can accommodate that specific opening style. So I'm actually going to copy windows, doors, and openings. And I'm going to use core centerline for this. I'm not going to copy any of the floors today, but it's a similar concept. You have your original, which is inside your linked file. And what do you want to replace it with in your current model? Okay. And then over here, again, you have copy openings and inserts. So let's go ahead and say OK for these settings, and we're good to go. So when we click on copy now, you have the option to just start going. You can literally just go ahead and start clicking and, framing. Oh, sorry, not framing, creating all the walls. So let's start with this guy. So you'll notice that it created an opening here, and it's like, hey, I don't know what to do with that opening. I'll just be like, okay, fine, delete the instance. It's all right. So you'll have a bunch of these like errors and stating that, hey, I don't know what to do here. I don't know what to do here. So you can just keep going along and see what you want to do with that error. I typically like to deal with the opening errors at the end. Like I'll go ahead and re-review them anyways. But yeah, you can just click on the walls, and you'll notice that that was an 8-inch wall that got created there. This is a 6-inch wall that got created, 6-inch wall that got created. And over here, it's an actual opening that's placed. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue on with this. We'll place our chase wall, and we'll place our chase wall. Since we said center line of core, luckily this wall is actually properly centered. Like the core had a pretty decent, like it had equal layers on both sides. So it actually worked out pretty well for us. So let's see. We now have our core created over there for the chase. And then we'll also create the chase over here. We'll create these three little walls, okay? So now that we have all of these walls created, I'm gonna hit the escape key. And I can go ahead and review these openings if I want to. You can see that even though that's a door, or sorry, even though that's a window there, it's a rectangular wall straight opening, right? So either you can copy in their window, or you can replace this opening with just a blank window opening shape, okay? Then you have the options for monitor. So when I select this wall, you'll see that there's this little squiggly icon over here. That little squiggly icon tells you that you're monitoring whatever is happening in the linked file. So if anything does move in the linked file, you'll get a coordination warning, and then it will tell you that, hey, go take a look. There's also coordination settings that you could add or go through, basically. And this is if you want to map their elements like switches, and the main thing I've seen this being used for is fire hose cabinets, because we need to create a recessed opening for it. We need to have something located for that. So you can basically copy monitor some of their elements in there as well. So like if you link in an MEP consultant, you can go ahead and copy in those elements as well. Okay. And that's basically it for copy monitoring over here. But now what we want to do is we want to see the magic, right? So we'll come here and we'll try to. Doesn't seem to like each other. That's fine. It's totally okay. So if you do have any auto join rules set up for this project, I'm going to test it out. I don't remember setting them up, but we'll see. We'll just say auto join. If it works, it's great. If not, then nope, it didn't. So we didn't set it up yet. But if you did have them set up, they would. You could basically just select all your walls, go ahead and auto join, and it will auto join all of your walls for you. And then the main part of the show is, since all of our settings are set up, I don't have to play around with MWF at all. I just go ahead and go quick create. And yes, there are 20 walls. Hopefully they'll be pretty quick. But yeah, we'll just quick create all of these walls and you will be pretty much like 70% done, I would say, because the benefit of our templates is that you can add your anchor rods to them. You can add anchor bolts, you can add hold series for service holds, you can add your horizontals to the panel, you can add lifting holds, you can add fastener counts, you can add a lot of things to your template. So once your template is created and set, and you say that this template's only going to be applied to this type of wall, then you're pretty much good to go, right? I know for steel, there are a lot more intricacies for templates, so you can definitely create walls or right, like the first pass, you can just draw the walls like how we just did. But if, say, in like this area, maybe you need to have a specific, more beefed up template, you can always just select those 3 walls, replace them with the wall that's going to be using that template that has the same stud thickness or structural layer thickness, and you should be good to go. Like it will, you can just go ahead and do quick create again after you replace those walls, and you should be okay, right? So a few of the walls over here, it says that it's missing the wall type configuration, which is probably the chase walls because we created those new. But if you did have a template, it would have quick created that as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this webinar. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Awesome. Thank you, Aparna. As she just mentioned, we have time to answer a couple of questions. So I'd just like to remind you guys, if you'd like to pose a question live, please raise your hand now by clicking on the hand icon in the control panel. Just please also make sure that your audio is working correctly. And just while we wait for any potential questions to come through, just like to let everyone know that the recording of the presentation will be sent through tomorrow. As always, please feel free to share the recording with any colleagues, as well as if you're looking for the recording a little earlier, you can typically find it at the end of the day across our social media channels. All right, I'll just give it a couple of seconds. All right, that looks like it's a wrap for today. Oh, actually, you know what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vinny has a question.
Perfect. Vinny, I'm just going to go ahead and unmute you. All right, it shows that you're self-muted now. So if you just go ahead, there you go.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering if you can actually show, like, if the wall changes, how it affects the wall the new wall you copied.
Sure. So you mean in the link if the wall gets moved?
Right.
Okay. So let me actually open another Revit session for that. Because if I open the same Revit session, it kind of unlinks the current link. Yeah. So I'll just open another Revit session for that.
Sure.
But typically it just shows you like a little notification that says you have a copy monitor alert and you need to go take a look at this specific wall. And it tells you that the wall changed from this type to this type if they swap the types. It also tells you that the wall has moved and if you want to approve the change or reject the change. So I'll quickly show you that.
All right.
Mhm. It might be faster if I show it to you on the website or on Autodesk's website because they have the snapshots for that too. Oh, maybe not. Okay. I'm just going to open up Atlas Apartments.
And like in the meantime, if you already have like a project already set up with walls, can you go back and do copy monitor, set it up after you've already set up walls and stuff?
I feel like the copy monitor is really great for you to start, instead of you sketching out every single wall. I feel copy monitor is really great for you to just start with something that's already set up, right?
Right.
So
Ideally, yeah.
Ideally that's how you would use copy monitor.
Right.
But if you did want to, okay, I'm just gonna make this wall go up, something like that, okay, and have this wall go meet it.
Sure.
That's a funky looking wall, but we'll save that change. And then I'm going to just minimize here, and I will come here. Let me just. You have to reload the link because it doesn't just detect it unless.
Right.
Okay, so we're just going to go reload.
Reload that link. Okay.
So if you do already have a project that already has your walls drawn, so over here you see it says instance of link needs coordination review.
Right.
So it gives you a warning. And now that you have that warning, you're going to go to the collaborate and you're going to be like, okay, fine. What do you want me to review? We'll cancel for now. And it'll ask you to select the link that you want to review. And it tells you that, hey, rectangular wall straight opening, you can see if that element is around or if it exists. And it tells you that, hey, this item got deleted. Okay. So you can choose to say, okay, fine, I accept this difference because I want to keep my model the way it is. I don't care about what their model says.
Right.
I want to reject this change. So I'm again going to keep my model the way it is. Or I will postpone it. So you keep that notification for me. I'll come and review it later. So those are the three options over here. So there are, like, if the element is deleted, it's typically you can see like where it's deleted, what got deleted, because it gives you the element ID. So you can go to the Manage tab, select by ID, and go find it. And then over here, it tells you maintain wall positions. So it tells you wall center lines are different for this guy and this guy. Do you want to modify your current wall to be located in the same location? Or do you want to accept the difference? Or do you want to reject the change altogether? In this case, I would want to reject the change because I don't want it to be centered to the center line of the wall. I want it to be centered to the wall, the core center line, right? I don't want it to be centered to the wall center line because they have brick, they have air gap, they have all of these extra layers added on. I don't really care about those. I only care about the one stud layer. So I'm going to just say reject, and it will reject the change, and I'll say apply, and then it will basically go into a blocking / rejected category.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you can basically say do nothing, or if you again want to go modify the change or whatever, it's your choice.
Now, is there like if you do accept a change to a wall,
it will move
does it change the framing with it?
No, you have to go regenerate and it will adjust the framing.
Oh, you still have to regenerate. Okay.
Yeah, because if the wall moves, you have to regenerate for the framing to move with it.
Right.
Because we're only copy monitoring the wall element.
The actual
so we're
wall.
linking,
Okay.
yeah, we're linking the to the consultant's element, like say for that specific wall, right over here, this wall. That element ID from the linked file is connected to the element ID of this wall in our file.
All right.
That's how it's telling you that, hey, there's some issues.
Okay.
Because that element ID got modified, or the length or the height or the size or something for that item got modified. So it's kind of giving you a warning, like, please go take a look if you want to.
Right. So there's no way to make the framing move with the wall.
You can regenerate once the wall gets adjusted. The Revit will adjust the wall for you automatically. If you're okay with that, and if you see when I click on it, it tells you where it's finding this issue.
Okay, it highlights it. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So, you don't
So like
show
over
it.
here, you're like, okay, well, I understand it's different, so it's fine.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's basically how it works.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. And for your question about like if you have walls pre-drawn, typically Revit, a copy monitor is meant for instead of you sketching it manually and drawing it perfectly to the exact dimension, copy monitor kind of just helps you copy the walls from the linked file, right?
Right.
But if you do want to go ahead and copy monitor, you can definitely do that. I do know I've done that in the past when I was working for architectural consultancy. Structural consultancy. The architect changed way too many walls. So we kind of just went ahead and just deleted everything. We started from scratch and redrew all the walls. We left our structure the way it is, and then we went ahead and checked what changes we needed to do. But you do have that option, so you can definitely go ahead and do that. The only thing I don't like about copy monitoring is the way it copies in the openings. So if you've already worked so hard and created all the opening sizes and all of that fun stuff.
Right. Yeah, that seems like it'd be.
Yeah, it'll be too tedious to change it. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions?
I'm good.
All right, perfect. We'll just give it another couple of seconds, see if anything else comes through. All right, then. So that looks like that's a wrap for today. If there are any questions after the session has been closed, please feel free to reach out to us. Our contact details will be provided along with the recording tomorrow. As well as if you'd like to set up a one-on-one demonstration, just get in touch with us. We'll be happy to set that up for you. All right, I'll now be ending the webinar. I just want to say a big thank you to Aparna and also thank you to everyone who tuned in today. Have a great day.
Thanks.